The IWI Galil Ace Gen 2 is an interesting gun, especially considering that it evolved from the AK-47. But don't let this simplification fool you. I mean, the Galil Ace series of rifles and carbines are refined machines that amplify the best aspects of the AK while mitigating most of the downsides. In an era of the SIG Spear LT and other piston guns with comparable reliability and price tags, can the newest iteration of the Israeli workhorse really hold its own? Let's take a look at the Galil Ace Gen 2 and find out. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Galil Ace is technically an AK derivative, so it should come as no surprise that it operates via a long stroke piston-driven action. Unlike your standard AK, the 5.56 Ace feeds from an AR-15 or STANAG magazine. It ships with a single 30-round polymer PMag in the box, but accepts nearly every STANAG mag on the market. I say nearly because I found that some of my much older M16A1 20-round magazines wouldn't quite lock up in the magazine well, but these are nearly 60 years old and not really indicative of the average magazine available, but something I wanted to tell you guys anyway, just so you know. Now, the 5.56 version of the Ace features a 16-inch 1-in-7 right-hand twist barrel topped with a standard 1/2x28 threads and an A2 style flash hider. Behind the barrel, the new second-generation Galil Ace does away with the original's polymer handguard in favor of an extruded aluminum M-LOK rail better suited to mounting precision devices like LAMs or IR lasers. The Picatinny rail on top of the handguard extends all the way to the dust cover, and in testing, both rails held zero flawlessly after a few hundred rounds, even after removing and remounting optics between shooting strings. Now, just beneath the rail, the Galil has a massive reciprocating charging handle on the left side. It features cross-checkering and a knob on the end that makes getting a solid grip, well, effortless. Not that you'll need it though. The action on the Galil Ace puts even the finest AKs to shame. It feels like someone took an AK bolt, polished it to a mirror shine, and then covered it in grease. What I'm getting at is you don't really need that extra purchase because charging the action on the Ace is very, very easy. Plus, the gun is extremely reliable, so you're not going to be racking it all that often. Now, beneath the charging handle, the Galil features the same ambidextrous controls as the first-generation Ace, allowing shooters to manipulate the gun without having to take their firing hand off the pistol grip. Behind all this, the Galil Ace uses the old-school locking knuckle on its folding stock that allows the stock to fold to the left side of the gun for storage and transportation. Plus, because the Galil is not an AR-15, go figure, you can still shoot the gun in the folded position. Now, speaking of which, the second-generation Galil Ace does away with the proprietary collapsible stock of the first gen and now uses a buffer tube adapter that allows shooters to use whatever AR-15 style stock they'd like. And really that's about it, so let's jump right into performance. The Ace is an AK derivative and as such ran flawlessly during testing. This didn't come as a surprise to me at all since my personal Gen 1 Ace in 7.6239 has never had a single malfunction in 6,000 rounds. And what makes that even more remarkable is the fact that it's been cleaned about 3 times ever. I mean, I only clean the gun if I'm gonna go have other shooters use it, and I tend to not clean guns unless they stop. And while I don't recommend this, it's nice to know that the Ace series of rifles and pistols can function with very little maintenance. But what about accuracy? Well, I shot the Galil Ace Gen 2 at 100 yards from a rest using a massive Vortex Venom scope to minimize human error, and I was able to achieve 1.6-inch groups with match ammo and 2.2 to 2.3-inch groups with steel case garbage. While not a precision rifle, the Ace is easily capable of making reliable hits out to 500 yards if a shooter does their part. Now, this is the part where I normally go into my verdict, but I actually want to mix things up a little bit and talk about what I really like about the new Galil Ace and some of the things about it that I would change, since I have a ton of experience with the older model. I'll start with the positives first. I really like the added functionality and durability of the aluminum handguard. It makes attaching certain accessories in specific locations much easier, stuff like lasers or illuminators. Accuracy is also top-notch, and the felt recoil is extremely mild with 5.56 ammo. I also like how the gun uses common STANAG magazines like the original one and runs flawlessly with all the ammo I've tested. Plus, it needs next to zero maintenance to run. Now, as far as what I would change, I'll start with the basics. I don't like how the second generation Galils lack iron sights. Yes, I know most shooters will use an optic anyway, but I really like the aesthetics of the original Ace with integral irons and the fact that a shooter doesn't need to buy anything out of the box to shoot the gun. Plus, having these irons is a great backup. You don't have to worry about what if my optic dies, I can't use the gun. You've got irons. Now, this is fairly minor since you can purchase your own backup iron sights, but the one aspect of the gun I was really not thrilled with was the stock. Yes, I know that shooters can swap it out for whatever they want, but the mechanism used by IWI adds undue distance to the gun's length of pull to the point where it's really only comfortable for me in the most collapsed position. The other added downside of this stock configuration is that it shifts the center of balance further towards the muzzle, making the gun feel even heavier than the original Galil Ace despite weighing a few ounces less. Now that said, I'm a fairly short guy, I'm only 5'9". When I had my 6'3" neighbor try the gun out, he actually extended the stock a few positions. So if you're not a shorter guy like myself, this likely won't be an issue. Plus, the stock's interface, the knuckle itself, is still the same as the original Galil Ace and the Galil ARM. So you can actually swap it out for either of these stocks and make the gun even shorter and more compact. But what's my verdict? All right, I'm an AK guy first and foremost, so I do really like the gun. But after shooting my Spear LT and the Foxtrot Mike 102, which weighs more than a pound less, the Ace feels somewhat unwieldy. If you're a taller guy than me, this likely won't be as big of an issue. But aside from that, the Galil performed flawlessly across 500 rounds of mixed ammunition and produced excellent groupings with even the cheapest Russian steel-cased ammo. If a shooter loves the AK and wants a more modernized take on it, the Galil Ace Gen 2 is a perfect gun for them. One that offers all the reliability of the AK with better accuracy and more ergonomic controls. So if you want a die-hard reliable carbine and can afford its $1,979 MSRP, the Galil Ace is the perfect gun for you. And bottom line, it's incredibly robust, durable, and pretty much impossible to break. The downside is you pay for this in weight. But overall, it's a solid gun you can depend on and use to protect you and your loved ones with total confidence. Thanks, guys. For MLN TV, I'm Jim Grant. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you guys on the flip side.